Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe and turn on notifications. The house was a statement. Marcus knew this because he had financed it. Every square foot of its existence in the quiet, moneyed suburbs of Denver was a testament to his diligence. It stood on a perfectly manicured lawn, its large windows gleaming under the cool Colorado twilight like vacant eyes. Inside, the decor was Helena's domain. She was a gallerist, a curator of beautiful things. And their home was her foremost exhibition. Every piece of furniture, every painting, every minimalist vase, was placed with an artist's precision. It was flawless. It was also, Marcus had come to realize, profoundly dishonest. He was 44 years old, a senior financial analyst for a firm that managed the fortunes of people who never had to check a price tag. His life was about patterns, data sets, and the logical progression of consequence. For 15 years, that logic had included Helena, now 41, whose name he had first heard at a charity auction, where she was effortlessly commanding the room. Their marriage, in his assessment, had been a successful merger. He provided the stability, the capital. She provided the aesthetics, the social grace, the veneer of a cultured life that his world of spreadsheets lacked. They had two assets from this union. Olivia, 12, whose quiet observation skills mirrored his own, and Leo, 9, a boy whose world revolved around the simple physics of a soccer ball. The official record, the photographs Helena arranged on the floating shelves in the hallway, told a story of uninterrupted happiness. But Marcus dealt in raw data, not curated narratives. And for the past 3 months, the data had been trending downward. A deviation had occurred. It began with the Thursday evenings. Helena's gallery, Vance and Rossi, suddenly required her presence for late-night client meetings. First it was one Thursday a month, then two. For the last month, it had been every single Thursday. An anomaly. When he queried this new variable, her responses were vague, qualitative rather than quantitative. A difficult client. An artist reception. Just schmoozing. You know how it is. There were no details. No anecdotes. It was the verbal equivalent of a redacted document. He tried to dismiss it. A standard deviation. A temporary market fluctuation. But other data points began to accumulate. Her gym sessions increased from 2 a week to 4. She wasn't just staying fit, she was sculpting, refining. New clothes appeared in her walk-in closet with unnerving frequency: silk blouses, tailored trousers, dresses that seemed designed for admiration. Expensive perfumes, ones he hadn't purchased, lined her vanity. Her nails, once practical, were now always impeccably manicured in deep, dramatic colors. "I have to impress the clients, darling," she would say, with a dismissive wave of her hand. Art is about image. And he accepted it. Because the foundational principle of their 15-year contract was trust. Or so he believed. He had logged it as an acceptable explanation, and filed it away. But the file remained open on his mental desktop, flickering in his peripheral vision. That Thursday in October, the day the primary investigation began, he arrived home at 6:15. He found Helena descending the main staircase. And the sight of her was another data point that refused to be reconciled. She was not dressed for a business meeting. She was dressed for an event. A fitted blazer over a wine-colored silk blouse that seemed to absorb the light. Thin heels that made a sharp, definitive sound on the hardwood. Her hair, perfectly styled. Her makeup, flawless. With a vibrant red lipstick that was entirely out of character for a professional engagement. And the perfume, the expensive one he had given her for their anniversary, the one she said she was saving for a special occasion, hung in the air around her. She moved toward him and kissed his cheek. The gesture was swift, transactional. "Don't wait up, honey," she said, her voice bright and brittle. "I've got a huge presentation with a demanding client. It's going to be a late one." Before he could process the input, she added another layer to the fiction. "I'm leaving the car. I'll take an Uber. The client wants to grab drinks after. And I don't want to worry about driving." "The kids?" he asked, his own voice sounding distant. "They ate. lasagna in the fridge. Bye, love. And she was gone. Out the door, phone in hand, summoning her ride. Marcus stood motionless in the foyer, the echo of her heels fading into the silence. An Uber. Helena detested ride-sharing services. She valued her independence, her control. She always preferred to drive herself. And the rest of it, the red lipstick, the perfume, leaving the car behind because a client wanted drinks. The variables did not compute. The story was inconsistent. Something deep within his analytical mind, a gut feeling he usually dismissed as irrational, flagged the entire event as a critical error. A system failure. He went upstairs to his home office. The one room in the house that was his. A space of function, of screens and numbers. He closed the door and sat in the dark. He replayed the scene. The inputs. The inconsistencies. He needed more data. Then he remembered. The secondary device. The iPad. Helena had an iPad, synced to her iPhone through the cloud. A redundant system. He knew the password. The children's birthdays. An obvious, sentimental cipher she had never bothered to change. "I've got nothing to hide," she used to say. A statement he had once logged as fact. Now, he needed to verify it. He moved with a quiet purpose that felt alien in his own home. He entered their bedroom, a space that now felt like a stage set. The iPad was on her nightstand, charging. He picked it up. The cool metal felt heavy in his hands. Like a piece of evidence. He retreated to the sterile environment of his office, closed the door, and sat down. The glow from the screen illuminated his face. He entered the password. 0814. Olivia's and Leo's birth months. Access granted. He opened the messaging application. He began to scroll, his actions methodical, detached. He was no longer a husband. He was an auditor. He scanned conversations with clients from the gallery, vendors, her friends. Everything seemed normal. The chatter mundane. He cross-referenced dates with the Thursdays she had been working late. Nothing. It was all plausible. He felt a brief wave of something that might have been relief, but it was quickly replaced by the cold certainty that he had simply been looking in the wrong place. A sophisticated fraud is never obvious. Then, he saw it. A contact saved only as D. Black. No last name. No photo. Just a single, stark initial. His finger hovered over the screen. This was the anomaly he had been searching for. He tapped it. And the entire logical framework of his 15-year marriage disintegrated. It was not a collapse of emotion. It was a catastrophic failure of data integrity. Hundreds of messages. Timestamps dating back months. The most recent were from that very afternoon. He started to read, and each word was a digit in a new, horrifying equation. D. Can't wait for tonight. Beautiful. H. Counting the minutes. I hate this part. D. Reserved our usual suite. 4:12. Champagne is already on ice. H. I hate having to pretend when I'm near Marcus. I wish I could just hold you in front of everyone. D. Soon. You're incredible. I've never felt this way with Charlotte. Marcus scrolled further. His breathing steady. His focus absolute. He was absorbing information. Processing. Categorizing. There were explicit conversations detailing their meetings, their bodies. There were photographs. Selfies of the two of them together, grinning in a hotel room. Helena. Leaning against a man's shoulder, wearing a white robe embroidered with the logo of the Four Seasons. He zoomed in on one of the photos. He could see the man's face clearly now. Dominic Vance. Helena's business partner. The man Marcus had known for years. The man who had shaken his hand at gallery openings, his grip firm and confident. The man who asked about Olivia and Leo. By name. The man who had once toasted their perfect marriage at a dinner party. Dominic. Married to Charlotte. Tar. Father of 3 young children. The data points all connected, forming a grotesque, undeniable picture. The logical part of his brain shut down for a moment. And a primal, biological response took over. He ran to the ensuite bathroom and threw up. His body convulsing as it rejected a truth it could not stomach. He knelt on the cold tile floor until there was nothing left. He washed his face. And looked in the mirror. The man staring back seemed to have aged a decade, in as many minutes. But then, something shifted. The brief, messy surge of human emotion receded. The sadness curdled into anger. But it wasn't a hot, reckless anger. It was cold. It was calculated. It was the anger of an analyst who had discovered a massive, deliberate fraud in his most important account. And now, he was going to conduct a full audit. He was going to liquidate the asset. His hands trembled slightly as he returned to the office, but his mind was sharp, operating with a chilling clarity. This was no longer a personal crisis. It was a logistical problem that required a precise, methodical solution. Emotion was a liability. Evidence was everything. He picked up the iPad. His first step: preservation of data. With practiced efficiency, he began taking screenshots. Every message. Every photograph. Hundreds of images. He meticulously captured every "I love you," every complaint about their respective spouses, every plan for a future that did not include him. He saved them to a newly created folder. HD, Evidence, 2025. Next. Redundancy. He emailed a compressed file of the screenshots to a secure personal email address. Then, he uploaded the entire folder to an encrypted cloud storage account. He would not risk losing the leverage he now possessed. The evidence had to be irrefutable, protected against deletion or denial. When he was finished, he checked the time. It was past 7:30. The initial data was secure. But it was digital. It could be dismissed as fabricated. He needed more. He needed something tangible. Visual proof. Incontrovertible proof that would dismantle any possible defense she could construct. The security cameras. 6 months ago, Marcus had installed a state-of-the-art security system. 4 high-resolution cameras. He had installed them for protection against external threats. He had never imagined the threat would be internal. He opened the application on his laptop. He checked the angles. The front door camera had a clear, wide-angle view of the street. It would capture any vehicle that stopped there. He switched to the live feed. The quiet suburban street was empty, bathed in the orange glow of the streetlights. He went downstairs. He made a pot of strong, black coffee, a stimulant to keep his mind focused. He sat on the living room sofa. The one place he knew she would have to pass when she returned. He placed his laptop on the coffee table. The live camera feed displayed on the screen. And then, he waited. Time became a distorted, meaningless variable. Every minute felt like an hour. To occupy his mind, he reread the messages. Not with pain, but with the dispassionate focus of a researcher. He uncovered new layers of deceit. A conference in Aspen last winter. A lie. A long weekend in Santa Fe. Another lie. The fraud was more extensive than he had initially assessed. At 11:15, he decided to set a trap. He sent her a message. "Marcus. Everything okay? You're taking a while." Her reply came 15 minutes later. "A lifetime." Helena. "Yes, honey. Still in the meeting. This client is incredibly indecisive. Might be a bit longer. Don't wait up for me." "Don't wait up." He didn't reply. He saved a screenshot of the exchange. More data for the file. Midnight passed. Then 1 in the morning. 1:30. He drank more coffee, his eyes fixed on the screen. His posture rigid. He was a sentinel, guarding a tomb. Finally, at 1:36 a.m., there was movement. A black sedan. A BMW he recognized instantly as Dominic's, pulled up silently in front of the house. The camera's night vision rendered the scene in a clear, ghostly monochrome. Marcus saw them. Helena in the passenger seat. Dominic driving. They sat there for a few moments. Talking. Laughing. Then, Helena leaned over. And kissed him. It wasn't a quick peck on the cheek, it was a long, intimate, lingering kiss. The kind a lover gives. Not a colleague. When they finally pulled apart, she got out of the car. But she didn't walk away. She leaned back in through the open door. And kissed him again. A final, greedy gesture. Dominic smiled. Waved. And Helena finally turned toward the house. Marcus's hand was perfectly steady as he clicked the button to save the recording. He had it all. the digital trail, and the visual confirmation. The complete, unassailable truth. Helena walked up the stone path to the front door. The camera captured every detail: her blazer, wrinkled, her hair, slightly messy, the vibrant red lipstick, now a smudged suggestion around her mouth. She fumbled with her keys. The lock clicked open. She stepped inside, closing the door softly behind her. Then she saw him. Marcus was sitting on the sofa, bathed in the cold blue light of his open laptop. He didn't move. He just watched her. She jumped, a hand flying to her chest. "Marcus, you're still awake. You scared me." He said nothing, letting the silence stretch, letting her register the abnormality of the scene. "How was the meeting?" he asked. His voice was level, devoid of any emotion. It was the voice he used with junior analysts, who had made a critical error. She forced a laugh, the sound thin and sharp in the quiet room. "Exhausting. But I think I finally convinced the client." She walked past him toward the kitchen. "You shouldn't have waited up." She opened the refrigerator, her back to him. He watched her drink, her nervousness a palpable energy in the room. He nodded slowly. "Productive at the Four Seasons, I imagine," he said. "With Dominic." Dead silence. The water bottle slipped from her hand, hitting the floor and spilling its contents across the polished concrete. Helena froze. She turned around. Slowly, her face a mask of disbelief and terror. "What?" she whispered. "What did you say?" Marcus stood up. He picked up his phone, walked over to her, and held the screen in front of her face. "The messages. The selfies." "I read everything, Helena," he said, his voice still terrifyingly calm. "Every message. I saw all the photos. And I just finished recording you kissing Dominic in his car. Right in front of our house." She looked from the phone to his face, her mouth opening and closing silently. "Marcus, I can explain." "Explain what?" For the first time, a flicker of something hot broke through his icy composure. "Explain that you've been sleeping with your business partner for months? That you have lied to my face every single time you said you were working? That you have looked our children in the eyes, knowing you were betraying their entire family?" She crumpled, violent sobs racking her body. "It was a mistake," she cried into her hands. "I was feeling so alone. You work so much." "No." He raised his voice, then immediately lowered it, remembering the children sleeping upstairs. "Do not put this on me. This is not a variable in my equation. This is your action. I work to provide this life. The life you seem to enjoy so much. If you were unhappy, you could have talked to me. We could have sought counseling. But you chose to lie. You chose to betray me. And worse, you chose to do it with someone I considered a friend. Someone who has eaten at our table." She fell to her knees. "I'm so sorry. It wasn't serious. It's you I love. I'll end it with him, right now, I promise." Marcus let out a short, harsh laugh. "You just climbed out of his bed 2 hours ago. You still smell like him. And you have the nerve to tell me it wasn't serious? I have months of messages, of you telling each other you love each other. Of you planning a future. Of you talking about leaving your spouses. That wasn't a mistake, Helena. That was a choice." Repeated, consistently, for months. He took a step back, creating a distance between them. "You have until tomorrow morning to leave," he stated. "Go to a hotel. Go to Dominic's. I don't care, but you are not staying here." He paused. "And one more thing, Charlotte is getting a copy of this video, and these messages. She deserves to know the truth." The panic in Helena's eyes turned to pure terror. "No, Marcus, please, no. His children. They're so young. And ours don't matter?" He cut her off, his voice like ice. "Did you think of them when you were in Suite 412? Or do you only care about the consequences? When they affect your lover?" She had no answer. She just knelt there, broken, on the wet floor. "I'll sleep in the guest room," he said, turning his back on her. "Pack your things. Be gone before 6 a.m. And do not talk to the children until I am awake. They will hear the truth. From me. Not from you." Marcus walked upstairs, without looking back. He passed the closed doors of his children's rooms. He entered the guest room, locked the door, and for the first time, he let himself feel the full weight of the data. The pain was a physical thing. A crushing pressure in his chest. 15 years. An entire portfolio of shared memories, now revealed to be built on fraudulent accounting. He did not sleep. He lay on the bed, fully clothed, listening to the sounds of his house turning against him. At 3:30 in the morning, he heard the sounds of Helena packing. The quiet slide of drawers. The soft thud of footsteps, the drag of a suitcase across the floor. At 5:30, he gave up. He showered and got dressed. When he went downstairs, Helena was in the living room with 2 large suitcases at her feet. Her eyes were swollen and red. "Marcus, can we please just talk?" she pleaded. "No," he said. His voice flat. "There is nothing left to analyze. You need to leave now. Before the children wake up. We will coordinate. Through our lawyers." She nodded, defeated. She grabbed her suitcases and walked to the front door. Before leaving, she turned back. "I'm truly sorry, Marcus. I know it doesn't mean anything to you right now, but I love you." His own voice nearly broke, but he forced the words out, cold and precise. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done what you did. Love isn't a feeling. It's a choice you make every single day. And every day. For months. You chose him." She left without another word. Marcus closed the door and leaned against it. Then, he went to the kitchen. He needed to re-establish routine. Control. He made breakfast. An elaborate one. Pancakes, eggs, bacon. The familiar actions were a comfort. When Olivia and Leo came downstairs, they sensed the shift immediately. "Where's Mom?" Olivia asked. Marcus took a deep breath. "Sit down," he said gently. "I need to talk to you both." Once they were seated, he held their small hands. "Mom and Dad are going to be separating." Silence. Leo frowned. "Like a divorce?" Marcus nodded. Olivia, always one step ahead, asked the question that shattered him. Was it because of another man? The question caught him off guard. He hesitated. For only a second. But in that fractional pause, his daughter had her answer. Her face crumpled, and she began to cry silently. "I knew it," she whispered. "I heard her on the phone sometimes, laughing differently." He pulled them both into a hug, his own heartbreak dwarfed by theirs. After dropping the stunned, quiet children at school, Marcus sat in his car and opened his phone. He found Charlotte Vance's contact information. He typed a message. His wording deliberate and formal. "Charlotte, I am deeply sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you deserve to know the truth. I have discovered that Helena and Dominic have been having an affair for several months. I have attached evidence. My sincerest condolences. Marcus." He attached the video file. And a selection of the most damning screenshots. His finger hovered over the send button. This act would detonate another family. But his new guiding principle was absolute truth. Regardless of the fallout. He hit send. 20 minutes later, his phone rang. It was Charlotte. Sobbing hysterically. "Is it true, Marcus? Tell me it's true." He confirmed it. He heard something smash on the other end of the line. "That son of a bitch," she screamed. Then her voice dropped. "Thank you for telling me, Marcus. You're a good man. You didn't deserve this." He drove directly to the best divorce lawyer in Denver. He laid out the evidence on the polished mahogany table. The lawyer reviewed the files. "You have an ironclad case," he said. "I doubt your wife will contest a single thing." And she didn't. The fallout was swift and brutal. Clients began pulling out of Vance and Rossi. The gallery went into crisis. Dominic resigned, his family and reputation destroyed. Helena tried to keep the business afloat alone. But she was a pariah. The divorce was quick. Marcus got the house, primary custody of the children, and the majority of their shared assets. Months passed. Marcus threw himself into 2 things. His work, and his children. He learned how to braid Olivia's hair. He learned the finer points of soccer strategy with Leo. He started therapy. Slowly, painfully, he began to rebuild. There were hard times. Nights he woke up at 3 a.m., the details of a specific message replaying in his mind, the cold anger returning. Moments he saw a happy couple on the street and felt a cynical pang, wondering how many relationships were just well-managed lies. But there were good moments, too. Olivia winning a statewide academic award. Leo scoring the winning goal in his soccer tournament. Simple dinners. The three of them laughing at jokes only they understood. They were a new entity. Smaller. More compact. More efficient. One clear June afternoon, almost 9 months later, Marcus was in the backyard. He watched Leo practice kicking a soccer ball, while Olivia read a book in a lounge chair. The sky over the Rocky Mountains was a vivid, cloudless blue. He looked at his children, healthy and safe in the world he had secured for them, and felt a strange, unexpected emotion. Gratitude. It wasn't gratitude for what had happened. It was gratitude for having discovered it, for not living more years inside a fraudulent system, for having chosen the brutal, cleansing process of a market correction, over the slow, cancerous rot of a lie, for having reclaimed his own dignity. Dad? Olivia looked up from her book. Are you okay? Marcus smiled. A genuine smile that reached his eyes. Yeah, sweetheart. I'm okay. And for the first time in months, he knew it was the truth. That night, as he was tucking Leo into bed, the boy asked a question out of the blue. Dad, do you think Mom still loves us? Marcus's heart clenched. He sat on the edge of the bed. Of course she does, champ, he said, his voice soft. Your mom loves you more than anything, she made some mistakes. Big ones. Adults make mistakes sometimes. But that doesn't change how much she loves you. Leo nodded, seemingly satisfied, and closed his eyes. Later. Long after midnight. His phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. He knew who it was. It's Helena. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I had to say this. I ruined everything. I know that. Not a day goes by that I don't regret what I did. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you were always a good man, a good husband, and you are an amazing father. I hope one day you find someone who deserves you. Take good care of our babies. He read the message 3 times. He felt something shift inside him. Not forgiveness. But closure. The final entry in a closed ledger. He typed a reply. Thank you for acknowledging that. I hope you find peace and become a better person for the kids. He sent it. Then, he blocked the number. He walked to the large window in his bedroom and looked out at the quiet street. Houses with lights on. Houses dark. Families living their lives. Some happy. Some pretending. Some broken. He thought back to that Thursday. Don't wait up, she had said. But he had waited. And in waiting, he had found the truth. He had lost a wife. But he had regained control. He had regained his children. He had regained his dignity. He could look in the mirror and respect the man he saw, a man who would not accept a flawed balance sheet. Who valued truth over comfort. Who chose dignity over complicity. He was free. Finally. Irrevocably. Free. And for the first time in 15 years, Marcus knew exactly who he was. He was the man who had made the right choices when it mattered most. He was the man whose children would grow up seeing an example of integrity. He knew he would be okay. Not today. Perhaps not tomorrow. But eventually. Because he possessed something Helena could never take away. He had the truth. And with the truth, anything was possible. Even starting over. Even. One day. Trusting again. If he ever met someone whose data proved they were worth the investment. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next.